The Shipley and McAfee Fluency Assessment is an alternative assessment used to evaluate a client with a stuttering or cluttering disorder. Normal disfluencies are common in speakers, but it is not normal when disfluencies cause tension or struggle. This assessment helps differentiate between a problem and a normal disfluency presented by a client. To begin the assessment, it is important to review the history of the patient and notice if there are any contributing factors. A traditional fluency assessment will include the client's history, a speech sample, fluency measures, and the feelings and attitudes of the speaker. A speech sample is the most important procedure when evaluating a person who stutters. Speech samples should be gathered for more than one occasion and taken from different settings. This is important because the speech sample is the primary basis on which most analysis about fluency is made. Once the clinician obtains a sample of the client's speech, the analysis phase of the assessment can begin. This includes specifically determining the total number of disfluencies, frequencies of different types of disfluencies, disfluency indexes, the duration of individual instances of disfluencies, speech rate, and types and frequencies of accessory behaviors. Disfluencies are often categorized by type. The major types include repetitions, prolongations, interjections, silent pauses, broken words, incomplete phrases, and revision. Mary is an 11-year-old female entering New Paltz Junior High. Mary has disfluencies in her speech, such as sound syllable prolongations and part word repetitions. Since entering her new school, Mary's stutter has become more severe. Mary lives at home with both of her parents and her older brother, Josh. Everybody in Mary's family speaks English as their primary language. 2 out of 3 of Mary's aunts stutter. Mary's parents are concerned because she is beginning to avoid talking to her teachers and she is having trouble making friends in her new school. This is due to her accessory behaviors she has developed, such as avoiding new situations and strangers. Additionally, Mary has developed associated motor behaviors when she stutters, such as eye twitching and feet stomping. These behaviors make it hard for Mary to make new friends. The fluency charting grid helps the clinician keep track of the client's disfluencies within a sample of their speech. While the client talks, the clinician uses a series of abbreviations on the chart to note whether the words are fluent or disfluent. A dot represents a fluent production, and abbreviations represent different stuttering behaviors. Form 10.2, the frequency count for disfluencies, is used to tally the occurrences of each type of disfluency during a speech sample. It is usually used when assessing short samples or for an informal charting, such as screenings. When listening to the sample, the clinician must place a check mark on the appropriate line each time the corresponding disfluency is produced. The disfluencies listed include part word, whole word, and phrase repetitions, sound and silent prolongations, sound syllable, whole word, and phrase interjections, silent pauses, broken words, incomplete phrases, and revisions. After recording these disfluencies, the clinician must add the check marks from each line and write the resulting number on the total column. In the end, the clinician is left with the total number of each type of disfluency the client has displayed. Form 10.3. The Calculating the Disfluency Index form is broken down into several sections in which the clinician can calculate the general disfluency index, the specific disfluency index, and the total disfluency index. The sections listed include part word, whole word, and phrase repetitions, sound and silent prolongations, sound syllable, whole word, and phrase interjections, silent pauses, broken words, incomplete phrases, and revisions. The specific disfluency indexes include all of the categories individually, whereas the general disfluency index includes the total of all types of repetition, all types of prolongations, all types of interjections, all silent pauses, all broken words, all incomplete phrases, and all revisions. When calculating a specific disfluency or general disfluency index, the clinician must first record how many words were said in total in the sample. Next, the clinician must tally up the number of specified disfluencies. Then, the clinician must divide the number of specified disfluencies by the total words. The clinician will end up with a decimal, which he or she will convert into a percentage to get the disfluency index of that particular specific or general disfluency. When calculating the total disfluency index, the clinician must first count the number of words in the sample. The clinician will then count the number of total disfluencies. Finally, the clinician will divide the total disfluencies by the total number of words. This will leave the clinician with a decimal, which then has to be converted into a percentage in order to obtain the total percent of disfluencies in the sample. Form 10-4. The Assessment of Associated Motor Behaviors checklist includes different types of movements that can be associated with different parts of the body. It is an assessment to identify extraneous behaviors associated with stuttering. It's important to not only take note of what the movement is, but to also chart their frequencies in the same manner that disfluencies are charted. This list is extremely comprehensive, which is important because every stutterer is different, whether it be the etiology, associated factors, or triggers. The more comprehensive a list is, the better understanding the clinician can have of that individual stutter.
Okay, I'm going to give you a passage to read, and I just want you to read it to me like you would when you were in school, okay?
Okay. When the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act as a prism and form a rainbow. The rainbow is a division of white light into many beautiful colors. These take the shape of a long round arch with its path high above and its two ends apparently beyond the horizon. There is, according to legend, a boiling pot of gold at one end.
Form 10-5. The assessment of physiological factors associated with stuttering is a checklist where the clinician must check all behaviors that the client exhibits in terms of respiration, phonation, articulation, prosody, and rate when fluent. Form 10-6. The Modified S Scale is a 24-item form that assesses a stutterer's feelings and attitudes. The client answers true or false statements regarding to attitudes they have about various speaking situations. This should be used in the beginning of an assessment so the clinician can make appropriate decisions about the client's care.
I'm going to read a following statement, and I want you to tell me whether it's true or false to the best of your ability. 1. I usually feel that I am making a favorable impression when I talk.
False.
2. I find it easy to talk with almost anyone.
False.
3. I find it very easy to look at my audience while talking in a group.
False.
A person who is my teacher or boss is hard to talk to.
True.
5. Even the idea of giving a talk in public makes me afraid.
True.
6. Some words are harder than others for me to say.
True.
7. I forget all about myself shortly after I begin to give a speech.
True.
8. I am a good mixer.
False.
9. People sometimes seem uncomfortable when I am talking to them.
True.
10. I dislike introducing one person to another.
True.
11. I often ask questions in group discussions.
False.
12. I find it easy to keep control of my voice when speaking.
False.
Form 10.8. The parental speech chart is used to assess the level of concern from the parent's point of view. Additionally, it will help the clinician get a greater understanding of how the client interacts with different people in different speaking situations. Charting the scenarios may help the clinician find patterns in the client's stutter.
So I know that my daughter has a stutter, but I notice that when I pick her up from school it's worse, and in family gatherings it's worse, so I think it might have something to do with maybe like social settings, but I don't know what to do about her stutter.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this parental speech chart, and it's going to help me see what she's like outside of the clinical setting. It basically tracks when she stutters. I want you to write it down. If she has tension, or if she has any kind of anxiety, her reaction to it, who she's interacting with, and their reaction to it, because that'll really help me see kind of how she is outside of the session.
Okay. I'll bring this back next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.